Okay, so this is gonna be good. You know, when someone says, hey, come over here, you usually go like this. But not our friend Ehud. He goes like this. And that was super awkward. So let me explain. Ehud was a super cool dude who lived in a land called Israel many years ago. And one day, he had an idea, a plan so smart that if it worked, he would become famous. But there was a problem. You see, Israel was ruled by a mean guy named Eglon, who was so nasty he made everyone pay him lots of money. And this really upset Ehud, who wasn't just any ordinary man. No, he was special. You see, Ehud was left-handed, and back then, all the important people were right-handed, especially in the army. It was embarrassing to be left-handed. Now, Ehud wasn't bitter or anything. He knew his left-handedness wasn't a bad thing. After all, he could throw a ball to his friends with pinpoint accuracy and do the funky chicken like no one else. But because of what other people thought, Ehud couldn't do most jobs, which meant he spent a lot of time alone. But after hearing about how cruel King Eglon was, Ehud decided to join the resistance. He wanted to help his people so badly. But the leader of the resistance told him, thanks for wanting to help, but you have to be right-handed to join. Sorry. This hurt Ehud a lot, but he knew the leader was only trying to protect him. So Ehud went home feeling bad. But as he walked, he came up with a plan. The next day, he made some clothes for himself, got a big clay pot, and put it between his legs. Then he went to the king's palace and asked for a job. Now, you might think, wow, he was brave asking the meanest guy in town for a job. But remember, Ehud was different. He wasn't like you or me. He was super brave, way better than the rest of us. So, he didn't feel scared at all. He walked into the palace like this and past all the guards until he stood before King Eglon. And Ehud said, hey, your majesty, I want a job working in the palace. King Eglon looked him up and down and thought, this guy's kind of weird, but what the heck? I got enough gold to hire 1,000 weirdos. So the king hired Ed. And the very next day, Ed became the royal bathroom attendant. Now, being a bathroom attendant isn't exactly fun. But Ehud didn't care. He was determined to accomplish his mission. Every morning, he'd sneak out of the palace, meet with the resistance, and tell them the latest news. They told him King Eglon was having a huge party the next day, and they wanted to attack. But again, Ehud said, nah, guys, I've got a better plan. And they all agreed to wait until his idea was ready. So the next day came around quickly. And after telling the king about a dream he had, Ehud slipped away. Then he snuck into the royal bathroom, grabbed that big clay pot, and hid under the sink. Then he waited. Soon, the king came in and sat on the toilet. And when he finished his business, guess who popped out? Yes, it was Ehud. And the king was like, holy guacamole, who are you? But Ehud was prepared. He said, get ready, King Eglon, because God sent me to defeat you. And the king was like, ha ha, very funny, little guy. But those jokes aren't funny. Get out of here before I change my mind about hiring you. So Ehud knew he had to act fast. He took that clay pot and smashed it over the king's head. But remember, kids, this is a kid-friendly Bible story. So instead of getting a bloody gash, the king got a big, fat lump on his head. Then Ehud ran out of the bathroom and the king stumbled after him. And I don't blame him. If someone smacked me on the head with a clay pot, I'd be stumbling around too. The whole palace heard the commotion, and soon soldiers rushed in to see what was going on. They saw their mean king being chased by a small bathroom attendant and started to laugh. And Ehud kept running until he reached the courtyard where everyone had gathered, and he yelled, everyone! Attack the king! Then the soldiers attacked the king and the party turned into a mosh pit. And Ehud kept running until he reached the river where he took off his clothes and waded in. He was so exhausted from all the action. But then the soldiers came running to the riverbank and shouted, don't go anywhere, Ehud! We want to take you to the leader! So, Ehud came back and explained his plan. The soldiers were super impressed with his bravery and smarts and welcomed him to the resistance even though he was left-handed. From that day on, Ehud was a hero, not just among the left-handed folks, but among everyone. And when God used him to save Israel, he proved that we can accomplish great things with his help, no matter what other people say or do. Now, if you're still watching, I have a question for you. Do you ever feel like you don't fit in? Maybe you're shy or don't like the same things as your friends? Well, know this. God made you for a special reason. He has a plan for your life, and he wants to use you in mighty ways. So never let anyone tell you that you're not good enough or that your best days are behind you. Remember, God still uses ordinary people like you and me to do extraordinary things. Now, did you like this story? Then click here to watch another one of our videos. See you next time!